This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSPORT Fan Network. TalkSPORT. Powered by fans.
Hello and welcome to this last Sunday roundup of Red Side of the Trent, just as pre-season finishes. Another 0-0 as Forest draw with Kadzia. I don't even care, to be honest. It's been that bad, honestly. I'm delighted to be joined by Christian Brown and Reese Lane. Christian, first of all, how are you?
Yeah, all good here, thank you. Getting myself mentally prepared for 38 0-0s. We'll keep a survival and break every clean sheet record in the process. But yeah, other than that, all good.
Good. Reese, how are you?
I'm good, mate. Yourself?
I mean, I'm not too bad. I mean, I've just said to you guys, I'm off air, I'm a bit exhausted. I'm exhausted with the 0-0s, and I wasn't concerned at the start of the season when they were happening because you kind of don't care about pre-season. But going into a last game where, to be honest, it didn't look like anyone was bothered by our team. During like last season, we played Villarreal, and it was like a competitive game. It looked good. Yesterday just looked like, I don't know, kind of a box ticking exercise for a bit of money, maybe. I don't know what you thought about it, Reese.
Yeah, I put this on Twitter a few weeks back. Ideally, you probably wanted the friendly last night and Monaco switched round of how the schedule flow, because let's be honest, the Saudi teams, all of them are no great shakes. They're just full of, players from Saudi with the odd sprinkling of stars, as you saw last night with the lad Retegay up front, who just signed from Atalanta for a lot of money. But they never really, I'd say, apart from the one header, what Sells made a great say, never really tested us in a defensive aspect. Obviously, last season, the comparison will be that we played Olympiacos away, who had just won the Conference League then, and we absolutely went there and scored 4 goals and looked really good. So, look, naturally the goals are a concern, and I don't read loads into pre-season, but when you've only scored 1, is it in 6 games, and it is going to be a concern naturally. I just hope they save them all for this time next week. But I'm just glad it's over now, mate. And look, the proof will be in the pudding whether it's a concern or not. And everybody knows, and the club including this, that we need players. As you know, the first team's pretty solid, but it's just what can we bring off the bench, because there isn't really anybody at the minute, is there, who's going to come on and change a game. I know we brought, the likes of Sangari on last night, who we paid a lot of money for, etc. But he's not going to come on and change a game, is in an attacking sense. You're bringing on, like last night, Jota, who probably looking to offload, and Taiwo, who's third choice. And let's be honest, for probably 18 months now, it's just looked quite off the pace, hasn't it, really? So, yeah, we definitely could do some options this week.
Yeah, I mean, Christian, your head fell off when obviously it was announced that Alanga was going to go and then Gibbs White was going to go after. I'm actually in your camp now in terms of looking at us during this pre-season, thinking if teams are going to sit in against us, we've got the same problem as we did last season. And I know it's pre-season, so it's not a lot to go off, and you don't know what players are doing. Are they giving 100%, etc. But if we're going to carry on with the counter-attacking style, I can just see Brentford next week sitting in 11 men behind the ball and hitters on the counter with Kevin Schade up front, who's got a lot of pace, and we're struggling, to be honest.
I mean, that will be a game plan, yeah. I'm actually, surprisingly, I'm not too worried. I'm actually probably a bit more optimistic. I think that the real tests, Reece is right, the scheduling is a bit weird. I think that in an ideal scenario, our last friendly could have been either Monaco or Fiorentina, because for an hour that Fiorentina game was very competitive and very good, and then obviously all the changes happened, and then no one was asked anymore. Yesterday's game, that's sort of something you'd want at the start of pre-season, not at the end. But it is what it is. Look, I'm not reading too much into all this. Yeah, I'm not too worried. I think we always knew this. The teams, obviously, we saw in the last 8 games of the season, teams will start to sit in and sort of, make Forest work for the ball and work for everything. That was always going to happen, but I'm not too worried. I think, obviously scoring 1 goal isn't great, but yeah, I'm not too concerned. I think that we're still creating chances. I think that's the big thing. If we were literally doing nothing, like I said before, then you could sort of say, okay, yeah, this isn't looking ideal. Obviously, preseason doesn't mean much anyway, but I'm not too concerned right now. I think, like we said last night, Jesus has scored twice against Fiorentina, made some decent chances as well, with obviously Murillo looked a step above. I think when push comes to shove, we'll be fine.
Yeah, fair. Reece, do you see Nuno going with this 4-4-2 he's been trialing? Because I'm a bit unsure if that is the case, because Sangari's dropped the last 2 games when he was playing quite a lot previously. I'm not sure if he's just saving him or if he's picked up a knock or whatever, or he's just trying to rotate people. But because I'm not sure if it's quite there yet. Maybe it's something that Nuno is thinking of as a plan B to go with when we're chasing games, perhaps, or we need to have more of the ball when Morgan and Elliot Anderson play in central midfield like we did see the other week against Fiorentina. What's your opinion on it?
I'm not sure, mate, to be honest. I don't know if it's to put a bit of freshness into the side, because at the back end of last season, look at what did go a little bit stale, didn't it, the last run of the season. I mean, he can't be happy because he's got nothing to turn to on the bench. So he can't be happy with the situation at the minute. I'm sure he would have liked at least 2 or probably 3 more in. I mean, some can wait till the end of the window because that's when a deal might be done, because teams are running out of time to sell players. Example, I'm looking at Douglas Luiz, for example. But I'm sure he'd want some more options because, like I said in the previous comment, there's just not really much to turn to. It'll be interesting next week. So, he either goes with a 4-2-3-1 and the team really picks itself, doesn't it, aside from who would be the other centre mid aside of Anderson. We'd all go with Sangare. There'd be some fans who go with Ryan Yates. But apart from that, everyone else really picks itself. If it was to be this kind of 4-4-2 where you kind of got Jesus just off Chris Wood, you'd probably look at playing Gibbs White in centre mid, wouldn't you, alongside Anderson? You're not going to bench him to play Jesus. So, it'll be interesting. This isn't going to be an interesting week for us because, it starts tomorrow with the we should get the result from the Palace hearing, but it wouldn't surprise me if you get a press release saying, it's delayed, because that would be very Forest. And, some fans, and they've probably got a point, is this delaying certain deals? Because players will look at it and think, well, like I've said before in this podcast, you're either coming into a 2-legged playoff in the Conference League where it's, Forest should be winning that playoff, but it's not a guarantee, or you've got 8 guaranteed games in a higher competition, Europa League. So, we'll be making some players think. So it's going to be a pivotal week for us this week, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. But hopefully by the end of the week and going into that Brentford game, we've got a couple more options Nuno wants, and we can, just have a bit of variation for the Brentford game, because at the minute, apart from that starting 11, there's not much to turn to, is there?
No, and that's what's all. I mean, we'll probably discuss it later in the week in terms of team selection. But Christian, have you got anything to add to what Reece just said?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what a lot of Reece just said there. I think the Europa thing is, that is playing a big part of it. But I think what's interesting is I look around at other teams in pre-season. This is obviously some very Forest thing. You look at how focused Forest are. Fulham haven't signed a player yet. For example, they have signed 1 player, a 34-year-old backup goalkeeper for 500 grand. Marco Silva is furious. Palace haven't signed anyone either. They signed, again, 1 player from Ajax. Glasner is furious. Look at Wolves. Victor Pereira, furious. Again, they lost last night to Celta Vigo as well, and their fans are booing them off. So, it's not just
Newcastle is probably the best example, isn't it?
Newcastle,
they're in the Champions League and struggling.
Celtic can't sign anyone. So, it isn't just this localized one thing. Forest are having a shock at everyone. It seems to be in the bottom half of the Prem. So I really am not too worried. I think a lot will fall into place. Start to fall into place this week. And honestly, like again, I said before, people read so much into preseason. These are glorified training exercises. They always have been. It always will be. We've had it before. We've had great preseasons and started the season terribly. We've had terrible preseasons and started the season brilliantly. There's very rarely a correlation between the two. I'm not too concerned right now. It's just will agree with Reece is that I would like to see some more options come in because it's very clear looking at the bench there isn't enough there. The tinkering is interesting. I think him playing Yates again the last couple of games, for example, obviously Sangare before that. It sort of keeps people on their toes, I guess. What's he going to do first game? I think there'll be a lot of keen eyes looking at that team sheet come 1:45 on Sunday next week. But yeah, hopefully, like I said, we get a few more in this week. The mood lifts a bit. We all go into next Sunday quite buoyed and confident. We will know exactly where we stand in European competition as well. So we could have 8 games to look forward to, or we'll go look at Skyscanner and look at flights out to the bloody Norway.
Yeah, I mean, Gary Baldino just put, I'll worry if we lose to Brentford, and if by September we have the same bench until then, we have to accept this squad, which is completely incomplete. Yeah, that is fair. I mean, the one caveat and the one positive I will take is we've still looked fairly solid defensively. Yeah, apart from we lost 3-1 to Fulham, but half that game was our B team. We lost 1-0 to Birmingham. Again, just it's one of them. They were well ahead of schedule anyway.
Silly mistake as well, weren't it? Like you wouldn't expect Murillo to make that kind of mistake in the Premier League game.
No, and we know what Murillo's like in pre-season. He's half cooked anyway. He can't be bothered.
Some players probably just can't motivate themselves for it, and probably the getting injured is in part of their mind. I mean, I'll just give you an example. Like, so for those who are watching now, who watched Sheffield United like myself last night. So Sheffield United played 5 pre-season games. They scored 19 goals and they won 4 out of 5 of them. They were absolutely abysmal last night and got absolutely smashed.
Like there's no correlation.
Yeah, exactly.
So
there's going to be some natural concern because you look at the opposition last time. Forest should be beating them by 2 or 3 really, and it would have just been nice to get a couple last night. And you kind of think, well, yeah, we'll draw a line under that because it is going to overhang us until we get that first goal on Sunday, hopefully. First minute would be nice, and then it's. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that all this goes away if we win against Brentford and get off to a good start. And I get it. I get people in the comments saying it's scary and everything else. We can only get behind the team and see what happens. If tomorrow is a good outcome for us in terms of getting the Europa League, I would not be surprised, and I think you two will agree with me. We'll get 1 or 2 signings in before Saturday. I just think it could be a big turning point. And yeah, just moving on. So Angus Gunn has signed as a backup goalkeeper, as it looks like Carlos Miguel is looking to go back to Brazil. Christian, I mean, it's just a ticking box again. Homegrown. Yeah. Fills a space, won't barely play, to be honest.
I mean, what I found quite surprising, I didn't actually realise that he's racked up nearly £20 million in transfer fees, Angus Gunn. So I think when Saints bought him, they spent like £13.5 million on him. Norwich spent £5 million to get him back from there. And obviously now we've got him for free. So I suppose if you look at it from that perspective, you're saying, we've got a keeper of £20 million in transfer fees. He's played quite a fair bit in the Premier League. You sort of go, that's not too bad, I suppose, as a backup. The issue is if you've seen Angus Gunn play, you might not be saying the same things. But no, it's boxing this. So he might get a few cup games. He's a bit more experienced than what to expect, I suppose. Yeah. Do
you see him as a number 2, you guys, or number 3?
Probably number 3. I'm being honest. It'll be interesting. I think it depends where. Depends on a lot of things. Like depends on Miguel's future. Depends on. I saw he was at the Palmeiras this week again.
He's going into.
He's 100% going. Yeah.
And I can't imagine Aaron Bott being number 2. So
no,
that's what I mean. What I'm saying is, would we bring in another goalkeeper?
No. Yes, I think depending on how our budget's going, possibly either that or we're looking at things and going, you know what, it's only a 1-year deal for Gunn, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it might be a case of we shake hands this time next year and go, right, okay, now we're looking for someone to really push sales because he'll be approaching 35 10 sales. So that could be a case. It's a steady pair of hands, safe pair of hands. I mean, he played like 30 odd games in the Championship last season, Gunn. So he's not like someone who's coming out the cold. I reckon probably number 2 for now, possibly number 3, depending how the budget lies.
Yeah. Just to go back to pre-season, so Adam has said, if people stop taking preseason isolation, also remember how horrifically we ended last season, then it's very worrying indeed. And it's the same sideways and backwards passing going nowhere. I think, like, with that comment, yes, you have to take last season into consideration, but I think coming into a new season, it's a complete fresh, clean slate for everyone, in my opinion. Look at Sangare towards the end of last season, looked really good, and now the last 2 games he's not even played. Like I just find there's so many differing factors. Elliot Anderson looked like the only one who wants to take it seriously. He looks like he'd tackle your nan still. Do you know what I mean?
The truth is, we'll find out Sunday. That is the truth. We'll find out if fans are right, if there is a lull from last season, if pre-season, if we end up say drawing 0-0 and we look poor or we lose 1-0 to Brentford, then yeah, people's got a point. But we'll see Sunday.
Definitely. There are currently 180 people in here, so if you could drop a like and a subscribe, that would be great. We do have membership, so consider that for early access to future podcasts and any other special things we might have going on. Hopefully we've got something coming up in the next international break, which is very early doors, or obviously, or whatever. A couple of ins to talk about then, guys. Reese, we'll start with yourself, with Yusuf Musa, who we have been linked with since probably we come up into the Premier League, actually. American international from AC Milan. It's been touted that £30 million or 30 million euros would be spent. I can't remember which. What do you think of that link?
It's kind of hard to tell because we've got quite a few central midfield links at the minute, and is it kind of they're just all out in the open and we're kind of working his way down the list / trying to push as number one target into action? I'd imagine with the links I've seen, Douglas Luiz would probably be the number one target with his kind of reputation, really. But Juve want him to go, and then it's, we need a replacement, and it's just kind of dragging on. And the problem is at the minute with him is Juve are going to want the money they've asked for. When it gets towards the end of the window and they realise they're not going to get that money, because I don't think they will, then that's when they're probably likely to come down because they want him gone. I spoke to Luca from La Storia, who supports AC Milan, about Musa, and he just says, I'm just reading his direct quotes here, he just said he's got potential, but he needs to grow, and he thinks he would be decent in the Premier League, but he does struggle in Serie A. And I asked him why, and he put, he's not as smart tactically for that league, but he does have really good stamina. So he reckons it will do a bit better in the Premier League, where it's not as tactical, I'd say, than Italy. As we saw by kind of like Remo Freuler, some fans thought he struggled over here, for example, difference in league. So I don't know, mate. Like we said this, didn't we, between us yesterday? He was someone who was mentioned, I think, in the first season. So he might be someone who's been on the club's radar for a while as a long-term target. He's still only 22. So yeah, he might have not nailed. He's played like quite a lot of games. I looked at his last 5 seasons for Valencia and AC Milan. He's still played around 30 games every single season. So he must be doing something half right to keep getting picked. But like Christian said before, it's all the kind of sideshow what comes with American players as well, isn't it? So I've not obviously seen much of him, mate. So I can't really comment. I mean, I'm speaking with Douglas Luiz because we've seen him in the Prem. I know he's had this bad season at Juve. And then obviously you've got the other lad from RB Salzburg, Bidstrup, who played a few times for Brentford, but they let him go. And so I don't know. I think the club's number one target for the centre mid position would be Luiz if I was to make a punt personally. But you know, it might just there might be talk of other deals just to try and push that deal along, such as how negotiations and that work, until we kind of don't really know what's happening behind the scenes.
No, I think there's a lot of usage of agents and reporters and everything else. I mean, Christian, we'll move on to the next link, which is Amari Hutchinson from Ipswich. He didn't play in the first game of the season against Birmingham and was left out of their squad, but he's been heavily linked to Brentford. We put in a bid for £35 million, which I think we can all categorically agree. Anything more would be our pants being pulled down for him. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, we won't sign Hutchinson. There's no way that's happening. I just no. If you're going to spend that kind of money, it'll be on someone like Luiz. It won't be on Hutchinson. I'm sorry. Like you're not spending that much on someone who isn't guaranteed to start. That'd be more than what Doi cost us, and he's seen as Alanga's direct replacement. So I don't buy that for a single second. I mean, fair enough. We've bid, fine, whatever. I don't think we'll go back.
No.
Personally, no. I think that'll be a very short-lived story.
Yeah.
And whatever happens, when happens. Yeah. I mean, it's nuts seeing the price of wingers this window, really. I mean, obviously, even with us getting like 55 for Elanga, for example, it's sort of had a bit of a domino effect. Kudus went for a similar amount. It now seems that a very, a routine. I mean, look at what Saints are trying to charge for Dibbling, 45 million plus like 5 million add-ons and the 25% sell-on fee. No one's going to pay that. Nobody's going to pay that. It's like, how are you charging this? So I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't see anything happening with Hutchinson at all. The move to away is interesting because I've said before, I think we need 2 midfielders to come in. And this is someone who was earmarked by Sirianos since we got promoted in the Premier League. So he's been a long-term target. It makes me laugh that you see like people have this like Lee's mentioned this so many times. It always makes me laugh. Like these crave and like thirst for new signings, and we get linked with someone. It's like, no, not him. He's terrible. Next, it's like, well, what do you want? So I don't know. All we can do is like we'll see what happens this week. I think we'll see it ramp up. I don't think it'll ramp up for Hutchinson in any way, shape, or form. I think that's dead in the water.
No, yeah, I'm in agreement. I mean, Mark Amanda just put this about the rumour from Man City saying we are getting McAtee is useless. I just want to respond to that personally. I don't think James McAtee is useless. I think he's someone that can play in several different positions. He's an England under-21 captain who won the Euros in the summer. I think he would offer us a lot of different scope, left-footed as well, which we desperately need. And the next link that I'm desperate for us to get to is Delaney Backwell from Strasbourg, Reece. I mean, watching him, he looks very exciting. Someone that would get you off your seat and someone that we maybe definitely need, I believe, in my opinion.
Yeah, he does look exciting, doesn't he? The problem is, and I tweeted this myself, is you try and sign players from the Prem and even the Championship now, the tax on them because they're English, really, it's just crazy. Like you look at Hutchinson's numbers last season, I know Ipswich were poor, but they were pretty dismal, weren't they? Let's be honest. What was it? 5 goal contributions in 30 odd games, and they want more than 35 million. Bearing in mind, we sold Elanga for, say, if they wanted 40 million, we sold Elanga for 15 more, and he got 17, I think it was. And you look at Elanga's pace as well, where it's frightening for any defence, isn't it? His pace. He does look. I've read some reports on him. Again, I'm not going to make out I watch Ligue 1 because I don't. I've not seen much of him, but you look at his numbers and look at some of the reports on him. And is he left-footed as well? Is he both?
Yeah, left-footed.
Yeah. So like you said, Adam, we do need some left-footers in the squad. We definitely need one for left back. We need one for the wings. It was something I mentioned last summer, and I think that would be a good signing because you'd probably get him for less than what the bid was for Hutchinson, really, or around the same amount. So, I guess as well with obviously Hudson-Odoi not signing a new deal yet, are Forest kind of thinking longer term and. If he obviously, we don't want to get to next summer if, say, Hudson-Odoi goes and then we think, we're desperate for a winger and clubs are going to be like, right, well, they need that winger to replace him, so we'll charge him a bit more. So, we'll have to see. But that does look an exciting link, that one for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think he got six goals or so and 8 or 9 assists for Strasbourg, who just missed out on European football. And I don't know if they overachieved or anything. Because like you say, I don't watch a lot of French football, but Liam Rossini did an unbelievable job with them last year.
Well, they're not a usual French side you look at, isn't it? It's usually obviously PSG, and then you're looking at your Marseilles and your Lyons and Lille, them type of sides. Strasbourg have never really been a side you'd say, they're always challenging for European places. So he's done a good job there, Liam Rossini. I really don't know why Hull sacked him.
Yeah, Nico Lasties, £1.99. Thank you very much for that. Just wanted to say how good Yates looked last night. I mean, I only watched the first half because I had a massive headache and just thought, it's going to end 0-0, so I didn't even bother. Someone else might be able to, one of you might be able to back that comment up. I don't know.
No comment.
Christian, obviously, Reece mentioned Mads Bidstrup obviously came out also with an unbelievable tweet, Reece, that for a potential song if we signed him, which I thought smacked my Bidstrup.
I don't think that will happen, but
I know. But thoughts on him, because obviously it seems a bit underwhelming. Not played for Denmark, didn't get a chance at Brentford as such. He's 25, and I think, as someone has pointed out, stamina being someone's main attribute is not always that great, to be honest. And that's what it sounds like, a bit more of a runner.
Yeah, I can't. Again, I don't really watch a lot of Austrian league football, I'm afraid. So I can't give you a great sort of insight into how he plays. I did see a few Brentford fans say that he wasn't given a fair crack at a whip at Brentford's. I saw a few of them said that he looked quite promising, and then I don't know who the other midfielder was. It was someone preferred to him, and then when they sold him, it was sort of like, this could be one that bites us on the arse, sort of thing. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, I've said before, it entirely depends on how Forest set up this season. If we're going to go 4-3-3, we'll need a replacement. And we're assuming Sangaro's at a base at midfield. You'll need someone else who can play defensive midfield for when Sangaro goes to AFCON or for injuries in general. So I'm not surprised we're looking at a defensive midfielder as well. If it's someone who has some even loose experience in the league, it's not a bad thing. Again, I'm not entirely sure this one materialised anyway. I mean, from what Plettenberg was saying on Sky Germany, he was saying that, Salzburg see him as one of their best players and don't want to sell him. So, again, will that happen? Probably not. It's difficult, isn't it? I mean, yeah, I think things will change beyond Monday once we know for sure where we are. Because if we are it does seem we're linked with a lot of players at the minute, but sort of whether we can actually not attract them as such, but it would make sense if Forest got Europa League, for example. It would make sense for us to go to Salzburg and say, right, we'll take him. We'll go from and sign him because we'll have more games, at least 8 more, and other competitions at AFCON and whatever else. If we're in a Conference League, will that player want to do that? Don't know. But yeah, I mean, at face value, it's again, we've been linked with a player. It's just, we'll have to see what happens on that one. I don't think it'll take off the ground personally.
Yeah. And then last one that we've been linked to is Leif Davis-Rees. It sounds like Forest are loosely interested. Leif Davis is aware of the interest, but isn't pushing for a move. The fee, I don't know what Ipswich exactly want as such, but I think it'll be too much for what we're willing to pay for a potential backup left back.
Yeah, I think they'll want close to 30 million, mate. I've seen fans thinking we're getting for 10, 15 million. No chance in a million years will they let him go for that amount of money, especially if he's not pushing. They'll just say, well, he's not for sale. You pay, you make it a silly offer and we'll consider it. If he's not pushing, Ipswich can turn around and say, yeah, he's not for sale. So for that price at one, to me, mate, it's a non-starter personally. Because you look at his age as well, he's 25, he's nearly 26. If he was maybe, say, 21, you could say, yeah, like when Nico came in, you could build him over the next 2 or 3 seasons like we have with Nico. But he's not for me, mate, that one. I just think the price would be too much. If you obviously could sign him, say, for a backup price, and yeah, I'd definitely consider it. But it'd just be too much. I just don't see that getting off the ground at all. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but that's my opinion on that one, personally.
Yeah. The English tax is incredibly high at the moment. Like, it's absolutely.
You could get, like, I said this, and I agree, the lad from Verona. I'm not going to try and say his name. Chakdua. Okay. You could get him, and I know Loco's had a bad injury who we linked with last season at ACL, but I think he's been doing fair enough in pre-season. You could get him and him. So that's from Serie A and League for less than what Ipswich would want Davis for, and you've got your 2 backup wing backs. So, I just think that's a non-starter, mate, personally.
Yeah, very, very strange one, personally. But just moving on, a little bit of outs. So Dale Taylor has gone to Blackpool. Wish him all the best. I mean, I think.
Did you see the story in regards to him?
No, not really.
So there was an admin error and he couldn't play yesterday.
Right.
So someone didn't register him properly. So he's like their record signing, I think, in like League One. And there was an admin error. So that just reminded me of the Fawaz days of not registering players who couldn't play. I think, was it Ben Hamer who come on to just said, I've got my season ticket to Hooters, and then they messed up his registration. He had to go back, basically.
It's absolutely ridiculous. But no, wish him all the best. I think that's a good move for him in terms of what league he's going to go to. And I think last season when he shone so well for Wigan, maybe that's how he builds his career. So it's unfortunate that he come in and had a lot of promise, but wasn't to be. But last subject before we talk maybe a little bit about the season ahead. A new away kit has come out. It's an absolute beauty. Is this the best home and away combination of shirts we've had in a long time, Reese, as the shirts connoisseur?
Christian's a shirts connoisseur as well. You could have asked him. I think definitely since we've gone back to Adidas, because the first season we had Adidas was this is like this time round, was very templated, wasn't it? I mean, the home kit I'm looking at now because I've got Nico Williams' shirt up here, and it's just a basic template, wasn't it? I thought last season's home was nice because, at least it had some pattern in the material with the stars and that. And then this season's, I know some fans don't like the collar, but I think it's really nice, this season's home shirt, and obviously the away with the lace market patterning and that. Yeah, I think it's nice to see that Adidas. I know we aren't one of the elite sides, so we aren't going to get the originals, and we aren't going to probably get the more detailed bits on the shirt as the likes of United and them lot do, and with the player versions and that they have, don't they? But it is nice that Adidas are actually giving us some bespoke design, really. So we'll have to see what the third one's like, and hopefully we can get a really nice set for the season. But they've definitely improved over time. I think it probably is, mate. To be honest, I wasn't really keen on Macron. I did really like the home shirt we got promoted in. I know obviously the high-vis became an iconic shirt, but it's not really a shirt you look at and think, oh yeah, it's really nice. It's just an iconic shirt, wasn't it? So yeah, probably say so in recent times, mate, for sure.
Yeah. Christian, are you parting your money with getting that?
It's really on its way, mate. Yeah. Which probably means every courier is going to punt it into a bloody river, and I'll be told where to find it in about 4 days' time. But
don't tar me with that brush.
You're not every courier. You're all right. No, man. Yeah, I really like it. I think it's. I mean, even the sort of leaked version that came out. Obviously, that looked quite nice. I think this is better. I like the gold trim. It looks really nice. Yeah, the way it all sort of comes together. I think it's probably the nicest pair of kits we've had for a long time. Hopefully we can get a third one to complete the set. Because even the keeper kits look really good as well. The blue one, especially Lee's. I know Lee's a big fan of that. But yeah, I hope it just goes against my theory that the better the kit, the worse the season. So hopefully we can sort of prove that wrong. But because I remember in 2011-12, I loved our home kit that season. That sort of tailored by Umbro one. Again, had the collar then as well, and obviously, we ended the season with Steve Cotterill in charge, and that was an absolute disaster. So after 2 playoff seasons,
the hoop socks didn't work. I think
it just did not. Yeah.
It's Dr. Seuss scented socks.
We might actually see the away kit getting used this season. The last couple of seasons, it's always been the third that's been a little bit more.
I'm trying to think of where potentially. I mean, obviously we don't know what the third kit's going to be yet, but you'd assume that again.
We'll wear it at Palace.
Yeah, of course we will. Yeah, because again there should be no clash at all. But it'd be interesting when we play other teams who play red or white, for example, what we sort of do then. So, for example, Brentford away, what we're going to do then. In theory, could you play white? Who knows? But we'll see. But yeah,
I'm very, very. Make them play their way.
Yeah, definitely. Just to round it off, obviously there's 283 people in here, so if you can drop a like and subscribe, that would be great. It goes a long way. I've just got membership as well, as mentioned before, so if you want to jump on that to help support the pod and get early access to future podcasts, that would be great. We've got a good start to the season, guys, and I think that, I know we'll probably talk about this a little bit later down the line, but it is an opportunity for us to grow into the season quite nicely, I feel, especially when we've got Brentford, Palace and Burnley, I think, is the first 3 games. I mean, that Palace game could be an absolute all-timer. Oh, West Ham, is it? I mean, the Palace game could be an all-timer with what's gone on, to be honest. How are you concerned, Reece? Are you quite excited? How are you feeling about it? Or has the whole Palace Forest debacle of UEFA kind of took that shine a little bit off it?
Yeah, that has, because I think once obviously the disappointment of how the season ended settled, I know for me, from a personal perspective, all I could think about really was that draw on the 4th of August, thinking, right, well, this is, because I've been looking at Are all the teams going to get through to that point? And this is from the first qualifying round of the Conference League, and the Gibraltars and the Faroe Islands of the world. And then obviously this has kind of dragged on all summer, and it has been a long drawn out process. You can say it's affected his recruitment. I mean, it's definitely affected Palace's recruitment, or they can use it as an excuse to. Parish can again, because they've only signed one player. And then obviously our pre-season's gone in the sense of we haven't scored any goals. We've obviously lost Alanga, which for me will be a big miss. I know we brought Doy in to replace him, but it's going to be some ask for him to, replicate 17 goal contributions. But then obviously the big Gibbs White saga, which dragged on for a few weeks. And obviously, we're still kind of being dragged on with the European thing until tomorrow. And like I said, it generally won't surprise me tomorrow for that. Oh, yeah, there's a bit of a delay and it'll be a couple more days. It generally won't really surprise me. But then again, they did set a deadline, didn't they? So hopefully it'll be all said and done tomorrow. The problem is, because we haven't recruited enough yet, it's kind of a little bit difficult to get fully excited. You're always excited for the season to come back because it's back, and hopefully it'll be a nice sunny day next Sunday and everyone's having a drink and you're seeing people you've probably not seen for a few months. On paper, Adam, you look at the first 3 games, we'll be favourites to beat Brentford. They've had a very indifferent summer. You kind of don't know what you're going to get from them. They've obviously lost in Buemo. Visser's Adart's going to play. They've got a rookie manager in there. Then you're going to Palace away, where, again, very indifferent summer for them. They've obviously got a touch wood awful record against us since we've come back up. I don't think they've beaten us yet. And then before the end of the month, when the window slams shut, if this is without any European playoff, you've got West Ham at home, who, again, bit of an indifferent summer. So you'd look, and I said this on the 1865 podcast, if you look on paper at the first 3 games, you'd look at the very, very minimum, really, 6 points. Forest win both them home games, and they're capable of going to Palace and getting a result as well, which would, settle us in nicely, wouldn't it? It's just, with obviously the whole recruitment and the lack of goals in pre-season, it's like everyone's going into the season a little bit cautious, aren't they? So, like I said earlier, the proof will be in the pudding Sunday. We'll see how we get on Sunday, and just hopefully, really, we can have a positive week this week where, but on a personal note, I'm not bothered about the outcome apart from the blowback tomorrow. If, Palace win that appeal, I've made my peace with the Conference League a while ago, but because we are in Europe regardless. But from the club's perspective, they'll want to be in the Europa League. If say it comes out, we're in the Europa League, and then we can get a couple of bodies in this week who are going to, and I'm not just mean any Tom, Dick or Harry like, your Leakers or your Rodrigo Eli's from the past, and them type of players who can offer us something, then I think, there'll be some more excitement. I think the Palace thing took away because, we know we're in Europe, but we don't know which competition, and it's been a very strange pre-season, I'd say, overall. It's been more about off the pitch stuff than on the pitch stuff, I'd say, and when that happens, it's not football, is it?
Absolutely not. I mean, Christian, there's a lot to go off there from what Reece has said. I mean, how are you feeling about it all? Because for me, I've and both of you not watched Forest in Europe in my lifetime. I mean, this has completely taken the shine off of it for me. Sometimes I almost forget because it's just like, oh, it's so boring. It's just such a boring matter of what's happening, and to do it, the decision's going to get made, and if we play the fixture 9 days later, 10 days later potentially, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not great for fans, is it, really? I mean, it's, I see what you're saying about sort of taking the glean off it. I think once we know tomorrow, tomorrow will be excitement day, I reckon, because we'll know it either way. Like, I know, obviously, let's say Cass do change, go with Palace, give the appeal. Yeah, okay, it will be a pretty negative timeline, as you can imagine, because all their fans will be piping up, and especially certain people. But we can go, right, okay, we've got a European game in 10 days' time. Let's go get it. That's got to be the mantra. I actually can't wait for next Sunday. Just get me in the grounds. I just this is all just noise. It's just annoying. It has been chaotic. It has more felt like an off the field thing. The Gibbs White saga, for example, obviously the the way him and Elanga were being sold within 48 hours, and it wasn't, and it was, and it wasn't, and it was, and it was all this like, that put a massive cloud on everything as well. Then he ended up signing a new deal. Great, fantastic news for the club. When I still think when you sort of step back and see what we've done, we have managed to keep most of our, or all our key players. So Sales has been tied down for another year. Again, Williams has signed a new contract. Ina signed a new contract. As you spoke with, with Tom from Daily Mail, there's no reason why Hudson-Odoi won't follow them. So, that from that side of things, it's been very good. It's just been very slow bringing people in, which is probably to be expected. So, I think whatever happens tomorrow, at least we'll know our fate one way or the other. We'll know what we can do, what we can't do. We'll know who we've got, who we haven't got. I think as well, what Mike Rees said with the start that we've had, we've been given. If you were to pick a maybe chaotic pre-season that sort of come out of and have those 3 games, you probably would take it, just because they're in a very similar boat, if not worse boat. So, I'm not expecting any fantastic games of football, but let's say Forest do get, say, 7 points in those first 3 games. They win 2 of them 1-0 or something, and we draw 0-0 at Palace. Shock. I don't think anyone would really, you sort of you're looking at points on the board already, and you're thinking, okay, because by that point you get to the end. At that point, you look at Forest. We would have signed more players. You'd like to have thought the squad would take a bit more shape. So if you go through go through all those 3 games with something at the end of it, and you go into September, coming to that very first early international break, yeah, you're pretty content if we can sort of get to that in a good place on the boards. Obviously, throwing to European games, that changes things ever so slightly, but yeah, I just want to know now. Just tell us, just put us out of our misery. Just let us know what we're doing, what we're not doing, what we got to prepare for, what we haven't got to prepare for. Are we looking at Skyscanner to go to Norway? Are we looking at ways to get to Fredrikstad? Are they going to pull this massive comeback out? We have to go to Midgetland instead. Just let us know. Like, just at least we have clarity at that point. We just draw a line on the written, move on. Whatever happens, happens. For what it's worth, I don't think Cass will overturn Palace's appeal. I mean, that could be famous last words. I just don't see it happening. I just, it was again quite amusing seeing like Parish sort of all chipper, as smug as he comes across normally at the start of the day. And then at the very end of it, he looked absolutely depleted. Sorry. It might be quite funny if that video was in contempt as well. So that could be quite amusing too. But I don't think it will happen. But I think come Monday, that's when the dominoes start to fall.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm in a similar thought to you about Parish. He looked very deflated in that interview post. I just thought and he left early because I know he had I think it was grandchild was being born, which is fair enough. But like at the same time, just you've gone in with all this vigor and then leaving early and looking absolutely shit like done.
This is what I mean. I mean, I know he left early. I know he had like a family reason to do so. Marinakis would have been there until they had to drag him away. He would have been fighting the whole way through. And he's just.
Do you think Marinakis was there? I wouldn't imagine.
I don't think he was. No, I mean, I don't think. If it was Forest in that position, Marinakis would have to be pulled out that room, and he's just gone. Yeah, I'll go then.
There'll probably be an element from Paris that knows Palace have messed up because this is the reason why they're there, and you can only spin a yarn for so many. Look, CAS are an independent body, right? So they've got no affiliation to UEFA. They overturned Manchester City's UEFA decision, for example. So there's no affiliation to UEFA. So obviously, if CAS turn around and say, actually, no, we're sticking with UEFA's decision, who are Palace going to blame then? Which is not our fault, is it? Because they're an independent body, or was Marinakis the chairman of the board or something?
Well, it has been quite sort of sick. It's one of the things that's actually really annoying me most about this pre-season, how he's been allowed to sort of manoeuvre this and pin it on Forest the whole way through. This is Steve Parish's fault. No one else's. But because he's like puppy eyes and because he's friendly and pally with the media and gives loads of interviews and he's a really nice guy and Palace are a lovely club and they're harmless. They have any ambition. They want to challenge the top 6. They've won a cup. Great, good for them. Oh no, it's been taken away from them. Who can we blame? Oh, the nasty villain at Nottingham Forest. It must be Marinakis. And the media successfully allowed him to run that narrative, and that is wrong in my opinion. That is absolutely wrong. The only person to blame for Palace's shortcoming is him. Steve Parish. He did not let John Textor put his shares into a blind trust. And even a week before the FA Cup final, Textor was coming out saying that he wanted to buy more shares in the club. So how can you say he's not an active owner? Of course he is. So, and as what's it? NFFC Tasman said that, will you get a fair hearing? Of course you'll get a fair hearing. It's about the independent panel. Like, to even insinuate that you get like this sort of corrupt, hearing, it's just ludicrous.
It's just setting the narratives there, and this is what the media do very well in this country, and it works. It works.
Absolutely. Especially when it's
Paris
like an underdog.
Paris is trying to set the narrative there, saying because it'll only be a fair hearing if they win.
Absolutely, yeah. If they lose it, it'll be we're going to screw everyone again. I'll give it a rest. This is all on him, no one else. But and that's why I kind of like I firmly believe he will get like what's coming to him, because this is his fault. Yeah, it's you can take issue with UEFA's ruling, and I think a lot of people agree that UEFA's rules are probably not fit for purpose. It's not Forest's fault though. We did our paperwork. You didn't. That's not on us.
I'm sure in solidarity with the decision, they'll be boycotting the Conference League and allowing Brighton into that spot, won't they?
Yeah, that's how it works.
They won't want to play UEFA's competitions, will they? Because of that much of their mafia. So.
I'd love UEFA to come out and say, and like basically show the letter that we sent, which doesn't mention Palace at all. So let's move on from it. We'll find out tomorrow. I'm sure we'll be doing some sort of reaction to it at some point. If it's during the day, we'll definitely do something. Don't worry about that. So we'll do that. I want a quick score prediction for next Sunday, guys. Let's go with yourself, Reese, first. 0-0.
What? I've been telling this to Elliot. If you are thinking that this is a little tip from myself, if you are thinking of having 0-0 with the bookies, always back no goal scorer, because it covers the OG and you get the same price. So there's a little tip for you all. 1-0 to Forest, mate, next Sunday.
Yeah. Christian?
Yeah, 1-0 Forest will beat them.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
And I think it'll be a it'll be a big like mood lifter as well. I think if we go to that game, we turn up and score and win, suddenly all this pre-season not scoring against our quads is forgotten about.
100%.
I've got a feeling as well it's going to be an obscure scorer. So then the questions will still be asked.
Yeah, we're a 45-yard screamer. We create nothing all game, but you takes the net off.
So I might have a look at the odds. Who's the highest scorer for us on the market? Who's starting?
Probably ourselves. Sells comes up for a corner last the game. Bang.
I mean, I personally think it'll either be 0-0 or we'll win 4-0. Mark Amanda's put Williams to score.
He's got scorer.
So it is actually Murillo who's the highest. It's Zach Abbott, but he's not probably going to start. Murillo 28-1 first scorer.
28-1.
That's quite surprising for a centre half, because you'd think they'd get corners and free kicks and stuff, but he does take them, doesn't he? So
we're going to go with that.
Yeah,
28-1.
We've had a peak of 352 people in here, so I hope you've all enjoyed the podcast, and we'll be back with some more in the week with predictions and all sorts of stuff, and opposition views with Brentford fan as well. I did find one, guys. Before you joke, hope to see you all soon and speak then. And come on, you Reds.